Well, welcome everybody. It is going to be a very, very big one tonight because we're into round 7 of the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. The stakes have never been higher until this very point. We've reached match point in the championship, standings, and we're in for an absolute ride and a half. Myself, Adam Reed, I'll be alongside James Otter for tonight. And after Adrian Manduka won in the first leg in the American stage, Laguna Seca last time around, who will be hoping to take the second.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a late charge. Good evening, everyone. It should be an absolute blinder of a race here at the Watkins Glen International Circuit. Usually brings some decent racing in GT car spectrum, but when it comes to the situation here, Denzel Agius is going to be doing the little lap for us around here. You know, it is one of the longer circuits with but only 11 turns, not that much in the way of elevation change either. So we are expecting lap times within the sort of ballpark of around 100 seconds for this race, but plenty of opportunities for little mistakes to occur. But there's not that many opportunities to recuperate time because the majority of these corners here at Watkins Glen are pretty much fast or medium speed corners, so you can't really find that amount of time if you end up making a mistake, and you can't really end up recovering time either. But as we said, Manduka's managed to put in a little bit of a charge in, hasn't he, this last time out? So fingers crossed that might just put a little bit of pressure on the front runner.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Carabot at the moment, he leads the way, but there are your race results from last time around. Ryan Carabot was your winner, 11 seconds ahead of Ryan Carabot in a very, very dominant fashion around the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. That was a massive result for the Ferrari driver. Sean Cassar continuing his strong results, strong form of results. He's either had a second or a third, and he's hoping to continue that kind of form tonight. So a really, really strong moment there for Sean Cassar. But yeah, he just hangs on in this title battle, which we'll get onto in just a moment. But it was Mark D'Agostino who came home in fourth. Then it was a big result for Aston Martin. James Smith coming home in fifth, with Dominic Zimmerman home in sixth, Johan Borg in P7. So that was a huge 26 points for the Aston Martin team there in fifth and seventh. Daryl Martinelli coming home ahead of Denzel Agius, who had not the best time in his eyes. So he'll be hoping to try and really work on himself. Looks like Gretchen and Viola Ferla finishing home in 11th, with Nicholas Holmberg, with Gabriel Quattromani, Simon Barber and Robert Barwin rounded out the 15 drivers that took to the racetrack. Of course, well, we are really in for an absolute blinder, as you say, James Otter. I really do think this could be a real nail biter, especially with the way the track is designed, and with all the the results form. You just need to kind of look at that kind of form for a lot of the drivers. Look at the top three. There've only been once where a driver in that top three has not had a podium, and that was Ryan Carabot back at Ricardo Tormo, and he's still leading the championship by a really good margin.
Yeah, Carabot's really had sort of one firm hand on this particular championship this year. I mean, the championship standings speak for themselves, to be fair, at the moment, because, Carabot is able to sort of put some, serious inroads in against other people at the moment. And hopefully we'll get to see the standings in just a second. Moving on into Watkins Glen.
I think that's something that Ryan Carroll will love to hear, knowing that the Ford Mustang should go well around here. And if you're really wanting to know what needs to be done, we've been talking about it. This championship could be claimed. He just needs an in-swing of 12 points. I've written down here 5 different kind of ways the championship can be won, but I think we're going to have a look at the top one. If Ryan Carabot can win this race, Manduka is third. That is it. The title is going to be wrapped up tonight. But look at the form chart. It is possible. It has happened before. It's happened at Zandvoort. It's happened at Paul Ricard. It's happened at Barcelona. So the way it's going, this could happen tonight.
It could theoretically happen tonight, but the fact of the matter is, though, is that Manduka is the one currently in form at the moment, and though Carabot is quick and naturally has been all the way through this season, he's not quicker than Manduka at the moment, so it may not necessarily be all wrapped up here tonight. But even with a second place finish here, he's got nothing to worry about when it comes to the final race, of course, at the Circuit of the Americas. So that is one thing we're going to be looking forward to. But we have a qualifying to keep a very firm eye on here at Watkins Glen. There's the Circuit Americas, of course, in just a week's time, December 4.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a real nail biter. So if you want to join us there, you'll be here on this account at Velocity Esports Racing. But for now, we have got a qualifying to attend. We'll see you shortly after these ad breaks, before we then see who will line up on pole ahead of round 7 of the championship here at Watkins Glen. Don't go away. And welcome back to Velocity Esports Racing. We are getting ever closer to the qualifying session, but let's first of all talk about qualifying, because of course it has been a pretty crucial factor. Adrian Manduka, 2 pole positions this season at Ricardo Tormo and Laguna Seca. The rest have all been won by Ryan Carabot. They're on 4 apiece in their entire ACER Malta GT3 championship career. This is going to be a big old battle for pole number 5 of their career.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. 19 points separating the top 2 at the moment in this particular battle, so it should be an absolute blinder of a closer, to be fair, and for the next couple of rounds. I'm expecting there to be some high intensity from, of course, the challenger in Manduka, but Carabot, no doubt, will be trying to keep up with the ever consistency that he's been able to deliver, other than at Ricardo Tormo, which is itself a completely different circuit to the rest of this calendar. So, question is, well, first off, is Manduka going to be able to put a bit of an edge once again on Carabot, or is Carabot going to come back fighting in the second round of this American stint in this calendar?
It will be definitely one of those things to keep an eye out for. They're going to be the drivers to look out for, but I'd say expect a surprise. Maybe Sean Gassar or Denzel Adjis could maybe post a bit of a surprise, but we'll go into qualifying when we can. Very, very soon. So I'm sure our drivers are just waiting out for it at the moment. We just appear to be on a black screen.
You know what? There we go. I thought we were doing a bit of qualifying at 1 a.m. and we kept the lights off, but no, apparently we're getting going, Adam.
Yeah, it's a perfect time in there. 17 minutes left in the qualifying session, and drivers are still starting to sense their way around. So, you don't really take into consideration what's going on there on the left-hand side for now, because that's very, very, very early stages. Let the track start to maybe get up to a little bit of temperature, get up to some grip. Let's see what the drivers can do. They head their way now around the final corner. Ryan Carabot, the championship leader, on towards the main straight, onto this fantastic circuit.
Oh, I love Watkins Glen. Just generally, anyway, it's absolutely superb as he's just chucking the car through this right-hander, and I believe of turn number 1. He'll head up now towards the S's of 2, 3, and 4 before getting onto the back straight. This is a lovely set of corners, this isn't it? Going up the hill with these simple left, right, left chicane, then up right again as he heads down towards the back straight before he gets the inner loop. Absolutely wonderful, free-flowing circuit, this one. He'll brake at about 250 meters, but he doesn't want to brake too aggressively because you want to take as much curb as you can. Carabot showing immediately that he is willing to challenge the track limits, going through this right-hander of the outer loop before going down chute. He'll be heading then towards the left-hander of boot, and the boot, of course, as you take this left-hander and head down towards what is the toe, you'll get to your next marker. Very wide out of that corner, actually, at turn 6. His toe then, he'll want to chuck the car through the right hander, keep as close as you can to that curb, and then just let the car ease its way out to the outside before heading towards heel. And of course, and then as you come out of heel, rather, you then head into turn number 9 and 10. This is turn 9 here. He'll chuck the car through the right-hander, brake as late as you dare. Let the car again wash out a little bit wide. If it's grey, it's okay. And then he'll head down towards 10, where then he'll head his way down this, what is basically a last gasp opportunity to look for some kind of overtake here, because this is where people may look for some considerable opportunities. A bit wide once again though at 10. Here's turn 11. Last opportunity for any kind of eye up for an opportunity before we head through towards turn number 1. Karabot will be setting the first lap time as he comes across the line and initially sets a 1 minute 43.205.
Yeah, decent lap time to get things started off, but as you know, there's still so much time left in laps like these, so they'll be really looking to see if they can just maybe extend it a little bit here and there. Sometimes ACC can be a little bit more relaxed on the track limits compared to, you know, what you see on strict F1 corner cutting or, you know, other simulators you may use, maybe a bit of iRacing as well. So it will be interesting to see how they use, and also that chicane there is going to be absolutely mighty. That could be one of the make or break sections of the track. You know, if you go too far into the first part of the chicane, you're going straight into that Armco barrier and damaging your car, and that'll be the end of the session. The curve's bouncy. You could very easily skip over the chicane and force yourself into a spin because you've unsettled the car. You could also move yourself a bit offline on the exit, so there's a handful of ways that section can go very wrong. But I'm thinking, you know, once you've kind of mastered it, you know, it can really give you a tenth of a second for sure, and that's exactly what these front two, or maybe any of the top runners, are going to be looking for. It looks like Dominic Zimmerman has entered the pit, so I wonder if he's getting a fresh set of boots onto his Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2. And he'll just wait there for the Lizard Racing team before heading back out onto the racing circuit. Currently sits fifth. Good kind of good round there for Dominic Zimmerman. Came sixth the last time out. I believe matched his best kind of finish of this season as well. He did have a sixth place at Paul Ricard. He was on for fifth, but I think a late charge by James Smith kind of ended that one. But he'll be back fifth in the championship, trying to defend that from Nick Ice, I believe, who's a little bit further down in this one in the Ford Mustang. So, you know, still plenty of these opportunities to arise for some of these drivers. And again, Nicholas Holmberg from the Lizard Racing team, they'll be looking to try and maybe shut down or confirm fifth and sixth in the championship for both of their drivers.
Yeah, decent race from Zimmerman, P6, as you rightfully said, last time out over at Laguna Seca. Manduka around about 10th and a half down at the moment on Karabot. No, the lap times not particularly looking sharp at the moment. One has a feeling that the track is quite green out there at the moment, to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of people just sliding out of corners. Now, this circuit mostly known, of course, for people washing out a little bit wider because, of course, going off camber. But Manduka just now getting on with his lap. He's going to get going now with the Project Versio Ferrari as he comes across the line to get started. We'll see what his turn one at the 90 looks like here. Wants to try and make sure he doesn't wash out too far wide. Looks like he's relatively okay. Again, if it's grey, it's okay at Watkins Glen. Chuck the car through the right-hander of 2, left-hander of 3 as you go up the hill. A little bit of a blind crest, that one as well. Get off of the curb and try and get as wide as you can through turn number 4, because you'll have the inside of that next corner before you head through to the inner loop. And one point to make clear, actually, the inner loop is going to be, I think, the make or breaker in this qualifying lap here. You ideally need to have the traction on the front end of the car at that particular set of corners. So this is why we're saying that potentially the front engine's very wide going through turn 5 rather, sorry, as he heads through into turn 6. We're expecting the front engine cars to be particularly potent around the inner loop, and that may be to the beneficiary of the likes of Ryan Karabot and Nick Ice in the Ford Mustangs, and perhaps Ericsson as well, the amateur driver in the BMW. Everyone else with a rear engine setup, of course, and obviously all of these GT3 cars rear wheel drive. We'll see if Manduka is going to be setting any kind of improving lap time, though. He's just going through the final, well, it's just through the second sector at the moment, actually, is the Ferrari man. We'll see what his apex is here. Missed slightly, I would suspect. It might not be particularly quick, but it might be a little bit closer to Karabot.
It could be. We'll have to see how this all kind of works out in the end of the time. Over in Watkins Glen, the virtual world, 7 p.m. So I wonder if we could end this race close to 9 p.m. I'm guessing this is kind of summertime as well. Otherwise, it would be pitch black if it was set in the winter. Manduka still goes second, 143.377 for the number 93 Project Diversio Ferrari 296 GT3. Looks like I believe Linus Eriksson there still at the bottom. I thought someone may have joined then. Maybe a bit of a flicker in my eyes kind of deceiving me, but still not quite there in terms of Ryan Karabot's time. I think he'll just still continue to push on though, still try and generate some heat into those tyres, you know, keep them non-stop working. See if the Ford Mustang can also maybe go a little bit faster, and he'd be wanting to put himself under, the Mustang under a bit of pressure, maybe have to make an attack down towards turn number 1. I'll be really interested to see how the mental kind of attributes work on Manduka, see how he kind of goes about this race, because he won't want to give up. You know, he won't be wanting to take this line down and go, oh, if I'm second, I'll just, you know, give this one up the ghost here. He wants to fight that all the way to the end. He'll have to use every single trick he has up his sleeve to get ahead of that Ford Mustang. But if he can't, you know, he would rather probably give it a good go rather than not try at all. It will be so interesting to see how he goes about this one.
Lap from D'Agostino, by the way, down in P5, manages to get above Dominic Zimmerman, and now is the Pro-Am McLaren driver in the Intercomp. Is that Intercomp or is that? Yeah, I think it is Intercomp liveried, isn't it? That's McLaren, but it's a great effort nonetheless from D'Agostino, the Pro-Am driver, managing to get in front of the Lizard Racing team driver up in P6. Ryan Karabot, though, he managed to get another lap time on the board, and the man in P1 actually managed to improve on his fastest lap so far, so it's a 142.675 now, but the last lap, of course, not really an improvement, looking to try and continue on that one, as he's actually giving none other than Gabriele Quattromani a nice little tow, actually, as they head through the heel at the moment. So it's a great effort from them. Gabriele Quattromani, once again, it is the time of the race weekend where we mention, of course, the gorgeous cars livery that he's got there, Lightning McQueen's 95 Racing number 444.
Yeah, a lovely livery to have in addition to every single race. You know, it's been a mighty pleasure seeing that. You know, I feel like we get quite a lot of serious liveries in sim racing. It's nice to get kind of replica liveries or inspired liveries, or just something a little bit more creative than just the, you know, the plain team liveries. As much as I do love some team liveries out there, it's nice to get a little bit creative. Oh, that's a bit wide there from Quattromani, saying nowhere near the inside of turn 2. So struggling to maybe just close out a little bit of the gap here. 7 minutes remaining. The lights start to dim around here at Watkins Glen. The sun really starting to come down. I'll have to see if Quattromani can really just open up this corner of turn number 5 on toward the outer loop, and through the chute he goes, really trying to pick his way through the circuit, maybe put himself in the mid-pack.
Yeah, he's not pushing aggressively at the moment here. He's keeping well within the white lines of the track limits, and he's not finding that he wants to try and go up on the curbs very wide, though, going through toe there, looking like he's struggling a little bit through there. That's the reason why he's losing a bucket of time, is the amount of understeer that he's finding in that car. So as a result, he's taking corners a little bit slower. I think the inner loop actually looks very clean, but not particularly fast for Gabriele Quattromani. He's currently heading his way through turn 9 at the moment, is the Rust-Ease Ferrari. But it'd be interesting to see how the rest of his season goes on, because he's always in that midfield, isn't he? He's always somewhere in a bit of a battle. We always end up catching him in a bit of a scrap. I know that him and Daryl Martinelli looks like he's run out of fuel, so he's actually going to dive straight into the pits now, is Quattromani. But, you know, great effort between him and Daryl Martinelli throughout this season. It's been fabulous to watch nonetheless. Back to Manduka for a bit, because Karabot's just entered the pit lane. Manduka looking to try and improve. He gets now into the 43.172s, so he does manage managed to improve on his lap, but at the moment still about 5/10 down on Karabot at the moment. Where is Karabot at the moment? I'm pretty sure I saw a 42.6 from him, and that's exactly that. So he's actually found nearly half a second from Manduka at the moment, and that is just a testament, I think, again, not just to not just to Ryan Karabot, but also the nature of the Ford Mustang seems to be more beneficiary at a circuit like Watkins Glen.
Yeah, again, we'll have to see. Gabriel Cotonwani has had a really interesting season so far. Yeah, despite really having his struggles, he has managed to get into the top 10 once, and now it's back at Spielberg, 7th place for him, where we had a maxed out group. We had 19 entries there, so something within the air around the Red Bull Ring for Gabriel Quattromani. Maybe a bit more practice, maybe a bit more comfortable in the car. But yeah, then we have a whole host of different kind of range of circuits, and he's maybe come to a couple of the more recent ones. He's just kind of struggled. 12th, 11th, 13th has been kind of the usual standards in the last 4 races that has just come after Spielberg. We'll have to see how that all turns around. Sean Cassar continuing to push on, but he sits 4th at the minute. So that's a bit of a strange one. But of course, he's now been overtaken. He's a little bit slower than his manufacturer teammate Denzel Agius, who's hoping to go maybe a little bit faster around here. He really tried to take advantage. He had a really difficult run. You know, a little bit of inconsistencies. He had his 7th place woes back at Zandvoort, followed by 2 4th place, then a 2nd and back to 4th. And then goes and finishes 8th at Laguna Seca. He'll want to finish the season on the high, and if he can do it on being on top of the 2nd row, that'll be an absolute mighty way to try and kickstart maybe the end of the season. Oh, that's going to be is that Dominic Zimmerman?
Dominic Zimmerman, yeah.
By any chance, it is. He's transported himself back to the pit, so completely lost it on the exit of, I believe, turn 9 on that one. That would have been a bit of a scary one. But what about Agis over the line? Is he going to go any faster? We'll see if he goes over the line. He does. 1:43.375. Great lap there from the McLaren driver, and this is going to be a big opportunity to get his 2nd podium this season.
43.9 from Daryl Martinelli, looking to try and improve if he can. His last lap was his best lap. Will he improve any further as he comes across the line? He has not found any time on that one. I actually, in fact, lost 2 seconds on that occasion. Where's Manduka in this one? Because I'm looking at Manduka, and his lap time is actually just about 2/10 in front of Agia, so he really could do. We're getting into the 42s if he can help it at the moment. We'll see when he comes across the line right now. 43.3 for Manduka, so still not finding any time at the moment out there with 2 and a bit minutes to go here. Looking very much like Ryan Karabot's going to be on for another classy pole position here, but Manduka is trying to make sure that he at least puts some kind of pressure, maybe not against Karabot at the moment, but maybe against Agius, because he's only just breathing down his neck, and he's just right there behind him literally as well.
Yep, that's going to be a little bit of a worry there for the vice champion, the one with the momentum going into this one, this stage of the championship. We'll have to see how he all kind of pans out here. Manduka now down in towards the chute, followed by Agius. These are 2 Controversial cars that are going to be absolutely fighting with the cars, putting it on the limit and see if they can get anything out. Because look at the timer, less than 2 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. You're really going to have to try and figure out if there's anything you can do to try and just excavate any possible tents, because at the moment it looks like Karabot's advantage is absolutely massive, almost half a second clear of Adrian Manduka. And if he can make that half a second, that would just make it even bigger. And honestly, he's still putting in 42.8. This could be a big one for Karabot, and if he can continue this form, this will be huge going into the final.
Yeah, absolutely perfect as well, going through the outer loop. He's going through chute rather. He's now heading through toe, and the car looks just so well planted around the corners, and he's able to just properly maximize every single corner he's seeing. Just going through chute, he was able to get through the exit, get all the way up on the curbs without touching the grass as he did on his first lap. And this is going to be another blindingly quick lap here from Ryan Karabot, our championship leader. Oh, gets up on the grass there though. That'll cost him a bit of time as he goes through the left-hander of turn number 9. He'll head through into 10 here. Again, this will be one of the last opportunities for potentially some overtaking for the main race here. They might line it up for this overtake into turn 11, and then down the start-finishing line. It's looking fairly strong indeed at the moment for Ryan Carabot, looking to try and improve on these laps. There's only 30 seconds to go, so the checkered flag will be imminent, and it's a 42.8 on that last lap. He would have improved, I suspect, if it wasn't for that little mistake getting on the grass on the entry of turn 9.
Yeah, that could have been a real factor in this qualifying session, but I don't believe that's going to really halt him at any point. I don't think that's going to send him to the back of the front row of the grid. So again, Ryan Carabot will now just make his way down. He's got one more lap to put in, and now he's going to hope this is the best of the rest. Checker flag is now out, and we'll just continue to watch this lap from Ryan Carabot. He's just so comfortable through that chicane. I think that's going to be a massive factor. The Ferrari and the McLarens are just not kind of the same here. Sean Cassar into the pits. He'll go no faster than 4th. Gabriel Quattromani will be in 6th, with Mark D'Agostino following home in 7th. James Smith, my apologies, in P9. He'll be joined alongside Nicholas Holmberg. So they'll be on the 5th row of the grid. Linus Eriksson said, I can't go any faster. I think that's Dominic Zimmerman coming into the pits as well. Maya Laferla will be in 11th. Adrian Manduka returns to the pit lane. He can't go any faster than 2nd. Denzel Agis makes his way into 3rd. This is the last car on the racetrack here. Johan Borg is just going to be ahead, I believe. He's going to be coming over the line any time soon. And I wonder if there's going to be a dive for the pits. In fact, sorry, Johan Borg is the last car on this one. So it seems like Carabot is going to be the next one over the line. And we'll have to see if he decides to stay out. He does stay out. Will he go any faster and just excavate any time? The fuel is going to be burned. He does go faster. 1:42.512. Wow. Absolutely massive. That is 6/10 ahead of his championship rival. Johan Borg will make his way over the line. He currently sits in P12. He'll not go for the line. He'll go for the pit lane, and that is going to be him on the 6th row of the grid. But yeah, looks like actually, I'm sorry, Manduka improved on that final lap to go 2.5 tenths, but that was a real staggering moment to see him just pop in to the 42.5s.
Yeah, last dash effort, to be fair, from Manduka to get within about 1/4 of a second, but it looked like it was never really in doubt, was it? The front two are massively ahead by over half a second between the pair of them, so we expect that this race is going to be very much between the pair of them, but very close proximity in the midfield as well, so that means anyone racing for the scraps of points, even for that final spot on the podium, actually might be a bit of a tighter race than we suspected here. So yes, the front two might run away with it, but for that 3rd place spot, could be a bit of a tight one.
And it could be a tight one, but you'll see that in the race. But for now, we'll bring you a couple of adverts before we then head into the main race for round 7 of the ACER Malta GT3 Championship here at Watkins Glen. We'll see you in a minute. Well, welcome back to the ACER Malta GT3 Championship, and round 7 is very much looming. We have got our grid that is now set up and ready to head and hit the racetrack. Of course, it's going to be Ryan Carabot on pole position, but alongside him will be Adrian Manduka. But a very, very interesting second row is going to be Denzel Agius ahead of Sean Cassar. James, looking into this one, what are your kind of thoughts? What are you expecting? What's going on in your mind right now?
Well, I mean, that's a separate question on my side. But in terms of racing, Adam, we're in for one hell of a blinding race, I think. But this is the circuit that obviously brings, a lot of historical prevalence, shall we say. It's a circuit that was the host of the United States Grand Prix in the 60s, 70s, and I think it was up to 1980, actually, as well. And it is one of America's oldest sort of courses as well, of course, back in the 50s, this opened. So it's got its historical prevalence. And the fact is, history could be made again at the Glen. Can you believe it? Ryan Carabot could win this championship tonight, but Manduka is hot on his heels. And with everyone else in such close proximity, that midfield battle is all not in fair warn either. This is going to be fun.
It for sure is going to be fun. We'll have to see how our drivers take to it. I wonder if that's going to be, how interesting that's going to be. Carabot on the inside, Manduka on the outside. I'm not going to be probably looking at Agius in all honesty, because he's had such a rough run of races. I just wonder if he's going to be somebody who's going to be looking to maybe steal a second place on this one. His McLaren has been fast. Didn't quite get the lap at the end there, because Manduka managed to go within 0.2 of a second of Ryan Carabot, maybe even less, because then Carabot went even faster. So I'm guessing about maybe a 47, a 42.7 compared to Ryan Carabot's 42.5. So there will be two very interesting cars. Sean Cassar's been constantly, or should I say consistently, second, third. So he's kind of due for a second at this rate with the way the championship, the form chart is going. But when you start in fourth, it could be very much thrown out the window. But you're seeing the entire grid there. 7 p.m. we're going to be going for an hour. We're going to be going right to sunset.
Yeah, we're certainly going through sunset. Of course, in the next 45 minutes of this race, it'll take us to around about 8 o'clock at night in game time. So that should actually depreciate the circuit a little bit. It might make it a little bit more slippy as the conditions obviously get a little bit cooler out on the circuit. Now, one thing I want to keep an eye on, you mentioned about Denzel Agius. Now, the thing is with Denzel is that he's not a slow driver by any means. It's just that this particular championship has not really been his forte. I don't think the car has quite worked for him in this particular championship. Obviously, in the other GT3 championships, you used to see him in an Lexus where he was very quick in that particular championship. But in this one, I don't think the McLaren has quite worked for the number 89. And that's not to say he's a slow driver. I just think that at the moment, unfortunately, there are a couple of drivers that are quite a bit faster, around about half a second, and that is Manduka, and by 0.7 of a second to Carabot. So yeah, I don't expect Agius to be making any Hail Marys going into the 90 against Manduka, but he may want to try and defend from Cassar, because he is definitely hot on his heels, only hundredths of a second separating them in qualifying. So I would expect the Intercomp driver to try and at least get himself back up to the podium if he can help it.
Yeah, indeed. We'll have to see how this all kind of works out at this moment in time. Again, you just have a look through the grid. Ryan Carabot will now be on that inside line as they start to get in formation. Well, not quite yet, because Carabot is just put himself there on the right-hand side of the racing circuit. Manduka will be side by side. I'm sure that'll be a fantastic photo opportunity that will go on the wall for the headquarters of the Project Aversio headquarters, wherever on Earth is, maybe in the virtual world, who knows. You got Agius, Cassar, Martinelli, Quattromani. Let's get in formation, boys and girls, because we're about to go racing for the 7th round of the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. What can these drivers achieve? They'll all be going for different aims here, but I think for our front two, maybe even our front two in that first row, or maybe even the second row, that'll be going for a win here. 3 Project Versio drivers in those front 2 rows. Agius again will be looking to see if he can potentially do anything. What about maybe looking back those 2 Ferraris and Martinelli and Quattromani locking out the third row of the grid? Can they do anything in those 2 brilliant Rosso red liveries? Well, we'll now look to the front because the green is about to fly. Round 7 of the ACER Malta GT3 Championship is hit match point, and we go racing here. This could be an absolutely dicey start here. Carabot on the outside here. Manduka on the outside. It looks like Carabot is going to just stick it on the inside line. Look at Kassar trying to fight that way around the outside. Adrian Manduka with a drive-through penalty. Has he jumped the start? Potentially. Drive-through penalty has potentially whitewashed his championship chances away. Here come the 2 McLarens absolutely barreling down the main straight. They're side by side in towards the chicane. They'll need to try and maybe make it through nice and cleanly here. Little bit of contact. Kassar on the grass. Martinelli's going to arrive on the scene. He managed to go around the outside and maybe just hang on to it here, trying to get a little bit of gap, but he washes out wide. And now I believe that's going to be Mark D'Agostino entering onto the scene here.
You may have heard me just in the background right at the start. That's because I saw that drive-through penalty immediately. Manduka, what a rookie mistake from a man that is just not a rookie driver. Very uncharacteristic of the man now in P2. And look at the distance that he's put between himself and Carabot, between him and Carabot rather, against Agius. Them two are just running away with it, but now he's going to fall all the way to the back of the field as a result of that. Such a critical error from the man looking to try and not lose out on a championship. Right now, Carabot has got one hand on the trophy all of a sudden, and we're only 2 minutes, what is that, 1.5 minutes into this race.
Big stuff here, and he's now going to try and have to limit the damage as much as he possibly can. You know, there's some drivers who may not be as fast as those top guys, but he's going to enter the pit lane. And what was so frustrating is that he found himself within tenths of a second behind Ryan Carabot, so we know that there was a clean opportunity to go for the win here. But now look at that gap just opening up, and that's what now going to be about a 4-second gap. Because of the contact, and just Carabot is that good of a driver to be able to open that gap up now. But Manduka's drive-through will be oh so critical, because how far is he going to be falling back? This is going to be massive, because now if he puts himself third or even lower, that's going to be the championship wrapped up with a bow.
Yeah, as it stands so far, we've got a champion here tonight, folks. And now Manduka didn't leave in last place by the looks of this. I think he did leave in last place, actually. That should update when he gets to the sector split. There we go. So Manduka now down at the back of the field. Now, he is very quick around here compared to everyone else. I would not suspect that he's going to be so far back for too long, but that might have just put a seal in this championship. And I think that is just an epitome, isn't it, of Manduka's race, Manduka's season, rather. He has been fabulous, but just every so often, one little itty-bitty mistake and he pays the price as a result, and this one is no exception. He now has to drive his way all the way back to the front again. Denzel Agius up to P2 in their strong battle with Sean Kassar. Where is Kassar at the moment, actually, in this little battle with him? Still quite close between the pair of them here, as Martinelli looking relatively decent in P4 at the moment. D'Agostino, decent effort from the Pro-Am driver up into P5 as Dominic Zimmerman is trying to chase him down, and a little bit of a gap forming between Zimmerman and Quattromani, who has actually got Nick Eisen. I think there's very wide there. Maya Lafurla going very wide out of that corner, turn number 9, but managing just to stay within touching distance of all of these drivers around as they go through turn 11 to start the next lap of this race.
Indeed, that's going to be quite a hotly contested battle. We'll see how that kind of goes. That's being led by Gabriel Quattromani, who currently sits in 7th place, but Nicholas Holmberg will be very much looking to see if he can potentially maybe make a move there in the Ford Mustang. We know how quick the Ford Mustang in the hands of Ryan Carabot, but how fast is it going to be in the hands of Nicholas Holmberg? Again, looking on that inside line through 2, you're going to try and swoop it around the outside through 3, so get a little bit of a sweep keep around that outside line, but it don't think it had the same effects as other circuit, but in towards chicane. He had to back off there, head onto the grass, in fact, and it looks like James Smith is going to go on through in the Aston Martin. That's a bit of an error there from Holmberg. He'll try and recover that as much as he possibly can, but now James Smith just sees it as an opportunity to go and attack the Ferrari.
I'll just take a minute to just appreciate the situation here. So Manduka has managed to get past Ericsson then, so he's now up to P12 in this strong battle. Now you can see there Johan Borg is getting close to now the over 40s Aston Martin, trying to get close here as Nick Ice is getting in a bit of a scrap here with James Smith in the battle for P8 at the moment. It looks like James Smith actually managed to get the jump on Nick Ice at the last corner, maybe a mistake from the Lizard Racing Team driver, but the other over 40 Aston Martin now just trying to close down on Gabriel Quattromani as he's starting to lose a bit of time now against Dominic Zimmerman up in P6 at the moment. Is he getting any closer to D'Agostino at the moment? I don't believe he is. If anything, I think he's actually losing a little bit of ground to the Pro-Am driver at the moment in what is again another characteristic of Dominic Zimmerman, started to find a little bit of no man's land in front and behind.
He is. So he doesn't really have anyone attacking him behind, and he doesn't really have anyone in front of him. Well, I say that, but you know, they're multiple seconds rather than, you know, within 9/10. Here comes Sean Cassar now looking for that second place. So again, the form chart does suspect that he will finish another second here if he can try and go around the outside of Denzel Adjus. This happened first time with Holmberg. Is he going to think smarter? He does indeed, and away head through that chicane. I wonder if someone was maybe looking a little bit over rotaty in one of those McLaren 720 GT3, but it looks like they managed to just get through at a solitary pace on that one. Again, they're going to be losing time to that Ford Mustang, but I think, you know, they're not focused on that anymore. They're going to be focused on second place as the barrier goes. Sean Cassar rubbing up against the side of the Armco, losing about a second in that one. He is a very, very lucky boy.
Oh, James Smith getting overtaken here by Nick Ice again. These two been battling hammer and tongue for this battle for P8 as well, but straight into tow, and that move is done and dusted. Yes, Denzel Adjus actually losing the rear ever so slightly at the inner loop, and it's very easy off camber to get a tank slapper around there and find yourself in the wall, but Adjus held it. Then Cassar going completely wide at turn 6 onto the grass. As soon as you touch that grass, it just pulls you into what is a very close wall. He hits it. He's lucky that he's not done any more significant damage to that McLaren, and now he's got to earn all that time back to try and chase down Adjus for what is now actually looking like a cracking P2 opportunity now for the McLaren, as Manduka is still so far behind, and in fact technical flags are being waved here as Cassar is going by. I'm wondering if he's being called into the pits here for damage to his car.
Oh, that could be absolutely massive. I wonder if the suspension is gone, or maybe a bit of a bodywork. Yeah, it's still flying away. And there again. So there's going to be obviously something massively gone wrong. There was, I just wanted to point out, there was a yellow flag at some stage. I wonder if that was maybe Linus Eriksson in the BMW, the sole BMW M4 GT3 Evo. Yes, look at the hood on that one. That is going to be slightly erect on that one. So you want to be having that shut all the way down. I think he's coming into the pit. No, he's not coming into the pits. He's just using the middle of the circuit, which I don't think it's the fastest way around, to be honest.
Yeah, he's not getting any technical flags though, so the in-game stewards are determining that he doesn't believe that the car is too dangerous to drive. But I want to go back to Sean Cassar. I want to know what the stewards actually have got. A little bit of an attack happening here. Is he still getting technical flags, I wonder? And this is a technical pit stop sort of flag that indicates that you must pit for repairs on that car because the car is deemed too dangerous to drive on circuit. Now obviously he's nowhere near any kind of stewarding post at the moment, but as he goes through turn number 9 and 10, we should start to see the stewarding team again, and whether we'll see another black and orange flag, that's the black with the orange disc on the front. Will Cassar pit at the end of this lap? No, he is not. The start finishing line will see another flag there. The black and orange disc is out, but it's now no longer waving, so I'm wondering if the game has just released Cassar a little bit. No issues whatsoever, he can keep driving.
Yeah, have you noticed we're a car short here, James?
Yeah, we've lost a driver here, and I'm just trying to figure out who it is at the moment, and I have a gut feeling we may have lost our man in second place in the championship, haven't we?
Here we have Adrian Manduka's gone. I wonder if he's made a mistake. Meanwhile, Sean Cassar's going to now look around the outside. A second time around the outside. Good defending there for Denzel Agius. But it looks like for now, Cassar was getting pretty close. He's starting to get pretty edgy onto the back of Denzel Agius. He wants that second place. He doesn't care about any meatball flags that are being fluttered at him. He just wants that second place, which is going to seriously be a big opportunity. Then down in towards the heel. There you go. It looks like Cassar is carrying a lot of speed in towards that corner. This is a battle that's going to be raging all night long.
Yeah, what is also going to be raging all night long is currently the thunderstorm over here in Malta as well at the moment. So if the stream ends up disappearing, folks, you know that we've had a power cut as a result of the thunderstorm. So just put that on your radar. But you know, that's it, isn't it? The fact that Manduka has bailed. He's just said, look, I can't do anything now with this race as a result of that situation that I put myself in. He's now out of this race. Now, it could be that the thunderstorm in Malta will Cassar going wide again at turn 10. You know, maybe the thunderstorm has caused Manduka to disconnect from this race. Maybe he'll reconnect him, but I have a sneaky suspicion that he may have left on his own accord here because, let's be honest, he ended up signing his own death warrant for this particular championship the moment that he jumped the start and got in front of Karabot before the green lights came out. So, yeah, disappointing stuff to say the least, but we still have a very great battle here happening between Cassar and Agius, and once again Cassar getting close enough for a potential overtake coming into the inner loop. But once again, in the first time of asking, they ended up both going wide. On two occasions Cassar's broken early, and he's doing exactly the same thing again. I thought the definition of madness, Adam, is doing exactly the same thing and expecting a different result.
Yeah, you just need to try and either try something different on a different part of the circuit, or he just needs to try and maybe just put himself onto the inside lights somehow, whether that be I think these drivers know a little bit better than I do. I think he just needs to try and maybe get alongside down at the start finish straight. My word, Cassar was very, very close there in the VDM SimSport car. And as I was saying, you need to be side by side going on down the straight. If he starts the kind of the rhythm now, he can really upset Agius. He tries to float it around the outside. It looks like Agius is going to say no on that part, but he needs to get to the right of that Project Aversio white and blue car as they exit their way on toward the last two corners. The sun is very much setting here in Watkins Glen, so really expect the nightfall to really come at these maybe last 5 minutes of this race. And now Cassar is going to have a look at the inside down and towards the 90. This is a mood that's going to be very much on, and I wonder if it's going to slither all the way up to that chicane.
Oh, I'm really surprised he didn't at least look for it, or at least get in the wing mirrors of Agius going into the 90. But in the end, he's electing to just stay within close proximity. But he's going to have this lovely tow up the hill through the S's of turn 2. Here's turn 3. A blind crest into 4. Very nearly got caught off guard by that one. He's actually a lot more further alongside against Agius on this occasion. But I think he got caught off guard by how much overspeed he was getting. And once again, doing exactly the same thing, Cassar. He has got the opportunity to commit to an overtake elsewhere on circuit, but he's elected to only go side by side through the S's, and Cassar's going to find that he's not really going to be any quicker doing that one. As I said, definition of insanity is doing exactly the same thing and expecting a different result. He's got to try something different.
Yeah, indeed. This is going to be really, really interesting. He loves the carriage speed around the heel. We'll see if this is maybe something that he can try and do. It just seems like he's able to carry a little bit more speed. Maybe if it's even maybe 4 or 5 miles an hour, that's still very, very useful. Down in towards the next part of the tow here, and he's really trying to gain onto the back of that Project Aversio car. It just seems like he's got a bit better rotation in that car. It's able to withstand kind of the speeds he's asking him to take the car through the corners. And now again he's right onto the back of Agius, so I just wonder now if this is something that's going to maybe just try and get him to cast a move down into towards the 90. Agius a little bit wide there. Cassar's seen that gap. He just needs to get a really good exit off this last corner.
though. Here he comes then, going through then towards the 90. Is he actually going to go for it into the 90? Now, I would suspect it's going to be a good opportunity. There is the little jolt. He is now starting to put Agius under pressure. Has that caught Agius off guard? No, ever the Iceman. He's not finding any kind of worry at all from that Intercomp McLaren behind here. But Agius, the Project Versio car, looking to make it a Project Versio 1-2, remember, as well. Of course, now Karabot has left the session. Karabot rather, Manduka. Here they go side by side then. The lights are now on as the track is now starting to get darker. They go side by side. Is it going to be a late breaker? No, same thing again. All I am seeing is exactly the same thing. And if anything, on that occasion, Agius had a great exit going out of the inner loop onto the outer loop, and Kassar's actually lost a bucket of time. So now he's got to earn all that time back, only to do the same thing again. Come on, Kassar, do something different.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the cool for him to just try something else there. Johan Borg in the pits at the moment, so I wonder if he's making an early pit stop with half an hour remaining of this race. Let's have a look a little bit behind here, because we've got Daryl Martinelli and Mark D'Agostino fighting away for fourth and fifth. These two drivers I didn't expect to be here at this stage. You know, they've been in such a kind of a midfield stage. Say they're currently 7th and 8th in the championship. Of course, D'Agostino got 4th last time out at Laguna Seca, but Daryl Martinelli still has 5th written down as his best finish of his career. Make that 6th in terms of this season. So he's really going to try and keep himself there. And into the pits comes Sean Kassar. Sean Kassar coming in very, very early. We've seen it work before. Will it work again this time around? The VDM Sim Sports Intercomp car runs its way into the pits, and he'll be very, very slow here, chugging his way down. Is that Johan Borg just stopped? I hope he's going to get going very, very soon, but he's just stopped. He's not in a box. He's just parked his car.
Yeah, he's parked his car. He's gone for a bacon sarnie, and he's just going to try and recover what's been lost. Clearly, at the moment, is Johan Borg. He's obviously not away. He's a bit AFK at the moment. As D'Agostino trying to close down on Martinelli. What an opportunity that has now opened up for our midfield drivers here, because of course, with Manduka now completely out of this race, he's decided this race is not for him after jumping the start. Denzel Agius is in his own little scrap, of course, with the likes of Sean Kassar, who's now in the pit lane. Actually, stop-go penalty for Johan Borg as well to make it even worse for the man now down in P12. You know, what an opportunity it is now for our midfield runners to earn some big points here tonight. Martinelli and D'Agostino are already smelling this really good opportunity here to earn some big points in the championship here tonight. And of course, Dominic Zimmerman up in P5 again in his own little world. He's not really challenging the likes of D'Agostino, but Gabriel Quattromani is still quite a ways away from him at the moment. So the Lizard Racing Team driver again in his own little world, as we go over to Gabriel Quattromani once again to celebrate the number 95 as number 95 444 Rust E's Ferrari. As it stands though, if you don't mind, I just want to head over back to Ryan Karabot. Let's give him some time here. In fact, let's focus on him for a second, because I tell you what, he's on his own little turf at the moment, and he's just managing his own race. He doesn't have to do anything extraordinary and still be the fastest person on field.
Yeah, he's still he's going 1.2 seconds slower than his personal best. Well, the fastest lap of the race as well. I believe that's Linus Eriksson. He's already lapped. So in the space of, 15 minutes, he's already kind of circulated around to the back of the BMW and got past. So that just now shows this could be one of the biggest gaps in ACER Malta GT3 Championship history. I haven't been able to have a look at kind of the biggest gap, but this could very much be one of the biggest margins of victory in the history of the championship. Yes, we've only been going 2 seasons, but to have a lead like this is absolutely extraordinary. You see that going through in toward the boot section. Everyone else kind of still trying to work their way around the circuit, trying to get their 2nd and 3rd places and 4th places. Of course, still you've got to take into consideration that Sean Kassar has made that very early pit stop. Karabot will probably pit around about 15 minutes ago of this one, and we'll have to see how that all kind of works out. He's just enjoying himself. He's absolutely relishing every single moment of this one.
Yeah, we're about 26 minutes away from crowning a new regional champion here tonight as well, folks. So we'll keep an eye out on him as this race continues over the next 25 minutes. This race now going to be approaching 8 o'clock. Remember, the time speed actually is ×2 on here, so it'll be approximately around about 20 past 8 in game time when this race concludes. Let's go back, if you don't mind, to that little battle between James Smith and Nick Ice. This is probably the closest battle between everyone on the field at the moment. Nick Ice looking relatively strong in the LRT Lizard Racing Team Ford Mustang, getting a great exit actually out of turn 11 as he heads towards the 90. Not expecting an overtake on James Smith on this occasion, as we've got our next person in the pit lane in D'Agostino. The Pro-Am driver decided to go out as we've lost a driver there straight into the wall. I believe there was James Smith as he pile drived it into the wall. He might have done either way. If he's got any kind of damage, he's going to be in the pit lane, but that's unfortunate stuff for James Smith, rather, because him and Nick Ice were in a very good battle, and I think Nick Ice just getting that great exit out of 11, going through the 90. James Smith was caught out completely, and now he's ended up spinning the car, and he's now down in P7.
Yeah, that's a real shame for James Smith. He was really relishing on his fifth place from last time out at Laguna Seca, and now that's not going to happen anymore. That's a real shame for him. He'll hope to try and maybe work out something, but it just seems like everyone is dropping off like flies at the minute. I don't know what's in the air here at Watkins Glen, but yeah, we've had a championship challenger completely drop off, making the rookie error and just leaving the session. Johan Borg is still stuck in the pit lane. We've also had mistakes like that from James Smith. I hope that we don't get any more, but don't be surprised if we do.
24 minutes to go left in this session then, as we go back up to Denzel Agius. There's a gap, of course, between him and Daryl Martinelli in P3. Look, the situation report here is that Denzel Agius is clearly going for the overcut scenario here against Sean Cassar. The man's still in P9, by the way, as we've got blue flags wave for the slow car there of Ericsson. The situation for Maya Lafurla, I was going to mention her, sorry about that, Sean Cassar, is that he's tucked in behind Maya Lafurla at the moment in P9. Is he able to make the inroads as quickly as he possibly can on these fresh tyres? I argue probably not. He's losing around about 5 to 6 tenths on his fastest lap so far out there, and I think he's actually at risk of Denzel Agius. Even if he manages to get this undercut to work, Denzel Agius may be a considerably faster driver, and he might be able to look for the overtake into the inner loop.
Yeah, that will be a really interesting kind of working out. Loads of drivers in the pit lane, it seems. I think Borge is still in there. I was wondering if Johan Borge is still just sitting in the pit lane. Yep. Yep, yes he is. I'll note him down as a retirement then, if that's okay. Yeah, Dominic Zimmerman in. Nicholas Holmberg is into the pits as well. So kind of the net leader in all of these pit stops, I'm going to guess, is now Sean Cassar, who we're having a look with right here. So when it updates through the timing systems, that's when we'll get a better idea. And there you go. He puts himself up in 7th. So everyone in that top 6 still yet to make a stop.
Yeah, I'm just keeping a firm eye situation on Johan Borg. He's actually now left the pit lane, so clearly he's managed to get away from the fast food stalls who serve some absolutely delightful bacon and sausage sarnies over there in the pit lane. But he's now away he goes, but he's going to be many laps down in that Aston Martin, very wide, I believe, as one of the other cars directly in front of him is looking to unlap himself. Ryan Carabot now in the pit lane, so Denzel Agius now takes the lead of this race. Remember, Carabot not really in a battle with anyone, so Agius is really considering a long-term strategy against the likes of Sean Cassar, who again, I don't really think Cassar's really making some serious inroads, but the tyre's really not looking comfortable at the moment for Agius. You can see wiggling through the inner loop here, so Agius would be very unwise to continue on these tyres and actually make a pit stop at the end of this lap, because he is now going to be starting to lose time hand over fist to everyone who has made a pit stop.
Yeah, it'll be massively interesting to see how this all kind of works out for him. I think he's going to try and go as long as he possibly can with this one, which I don't think is going to be quite as long as he hoped. tick over now past 8 p.m. and you really can see that the light is really starting to glow onto the circuit. I'd actually be quite interested in what Johan Borg's lap time looks like. I'm just sitting in the pits like a rubber duck in water will be like. I wonder if that will be maybe close to 5 minutes, close to 10 minutes even. I don't mind if we don't switch to him, but you know, that would just something that's really intriguing me at the minute. But yeah, just very difficult on the curb there. You see the car just kind of bottoming out. He'll make his way now in towards the pit entry. And now onto the pit limiter he goes. Where will he come out? Everyone behind him has now made a pit stop, and this is the man we're looking at, Sean Cassar, who's just been losing bits of time here and there. Will it be his hopeful? Will he be hopeful that he can get into second place? I'm not too sure on this one.
Yeah, he's at the toe at the moment, so he's still got another 3 corners to get around, 4 corners rather, sorry, before he gets onto the pit straight here. I suspect he will get the jump just maybe on the man Denzel Agius, but it will be very close, and as a sneaky suspicion as well, that actually Denzel Agius is in a better position because, of course, Cassar has been on these tyres significantly longer. I estimate around about 10 minutes longer than Denzel Agius will be. So this is a great opportunity here for Denzel Agius to actually be on the better tyre, even if he doesn't have the track position. Where is Denzel Agius? Is he leaving the pit lane now? Cassar going down the pit lane. He's right at the end, actually. So if he leaves this late second, there he is. He's now leaving, and there is the pit exit. Where is Sean Cassar? On it is only hundredths of a second separating them, but in the end, it does look like Cassar has managed to get the jump, but Agius is going to be on a fresher tyre, and I don't think it's going to be long before this overtake ends up happening again. A circuit like this one, tyre degradation is pretty high.
Fresher tyres, but colder tyres. They will be sliding around, especially in towards this section coming up through the chicane. They will head. It will be Cassar ahead of Denzel Agius, and all that Intercomp VMD SimSport car needs to do is just sit on the inside of that chicane, especially if Agius is going to continuously get a good run with that slipstream. He just needs to sit on that outside, not give any advantages, and just do the exact same thing that Agius has been doing lap after lap after lap. And it will be interesting to see how Agius responds, because he will look to then try and, you know, do what Cassar's been forced to do and try something different. But what will Agius have up his sleeve? Because I wonder if from a driver perspective, how difficult is it to overtake around this circuit? Because you got something like the 90, but down into turn 1, but I reckon that's maybe not the wisest opportunity to go with. It just seems like that long stroke where you get a lot of toe from is maybe the main place, but then all you need is a car to just sit on the inside like a rubber duck, and you'll just be kind of defending your place as easy as you like.
Yeah, because the problem is as well is that the inner loop offers a great opportunity for overtaking, but Sean Cassar attempted it once and then really sort of bottled it, to be honest with you, and ended up seeing them obviously go off wide. So he then at that point refused to make any kind of overtake here. Now Agius has now got tyres that are going to be nice and warm, nice and cool, nice and easy, while the track is also starting to get a little bit now on the dark side. That offers less visibility on the circuit, so it's a bit more risky for considerable overtakes. Now Agius, I don't suspect is close enough for an overtake on this occasion to the inner loop, but he is going to be getting a lovely tow down that back straight as he heads towards the inner loop. He will continue to go later on the brakes and try and outdrive his McLaren, but then a little bit of a tank slapper, well held actually through there, but he did lose a bit of time once again through Cassar, and that may just be effect of the dirty air that is now being kicked off of the back of the other McLaren. So that is a strong battle to keep an eye out on. I'm also keeping an eye on a battle as well, if you don't mind, with Gabriel Quattromani and Nick Ice, because look, Nick Ice is in his own little world at the moment, but in that Ford Mustang, he is expected to have more traction. Can you believe, as I say that, he ends up going through a massive tank slapper? He is expected to have more traction, and I suspect Nick Ice should then start to gain ground on Quattromani, and to be fair, he is pushing, as we've just seen.
Yeah, he is. So he'll be looking to really try and maybe open that gap as much as he possibly can. This would be a hugely interesting thing to see if he could potentially maybe just shut down a gap, because a lot of these drivers may find they're just running a little bit of no man's which is not really what you like to do. I don't know about you, Gene, but I believe I said this before. But yeah, you kind of prefer a car to be in front of you. He's just let Johan Borch go through. So I wonder. Oh, that was an interesting sequence of events right there. But yeah, it just seemed like Nick Ice or Nicholas Holmberg is very much struggling for grip, it seems.
So 15 minutes to go in this race then, folks, and as it stands here, it looks like actually James Smith is starting to welcome himself. In fact, that's not James Smith. I believe that's Johan Borge trying to unlap himself at the moment, actually, in the other Aston Martin, and I would be correct. So nothing of any battle between these two here, as it looks like the Aston Martin is just trying to gain what ground he's lost. We have yellow flags out at the moment on circuit for someone that's gone awry. We don't know where, but we know that that has now gone green again, so it wasn't obviously a significant incident out there as well. Let's go back to Ryan Carabot again, just give him a little bit of airtime because he's out there on his own at the moment. That's where the closest battle is between Kassar and Agius. They're already not even at tow at the moment, whilst at the moment Carabot is chucking his car through turn 9. So that just goes to show just how well crafted this race has been for what is going to be certainly champion elect at the moment. 15 minutes to go as in this race before we're crowning a champion here, Adam, and I want to have a sneaking suspicion he's not really going to be needing to push that much here. It's just going to be, drive around and bring it home.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the lap times looking like for Ryan Carabot. Bear in mind, he is the one with the fastest lap of the race. He'll go over the line, and we'll get a reading of his time in just a moment. I'm not sure if my screen is quite responding the same way.
143.5 versus a 142.8, so he is really not pushing out there at the moment.
No, that is just dawdle around, try and get this get the thing home. I wonder if he'll also try and open up the gap to a possibility where he's maybe only a couple of seconds away from home and he can just stop on the line and then just move a little bit forward before finishing off this race. But yeah, we've not seen that done too many times, but we've seen it before where you cross the line with 2 seconds remaining or 3 seconds remaining or whatever it is, you still got to do a whole another lap to put your opponents in trouble. But I don't know if I've really seen anyone stop before the line and it go right. I think the one time I've seen it go horribly wrong.
Track temperature out there at the moment, 11 degrees Celsius. That's 52 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is a little bit on the chilly side at the moment as well. So those that are able to just keep their tyres warm will find that they're not going to be going side by side through there. Back to that battle between Agius and Kassar at the moment. So Agius actually losing a little bit of ground to Kassar on this occasion. Again, a little bit of a wiggle going through the heel of that corner, rather toe, sorry, as he heads towards the heel. Agius, I'll be honest with you, this has surprised me a little bit here. I thought he would have put a little bit more pressure on Kassar on this occasion, but one has a sneaky suspicion this second stint at the moment for Agius is a bit slower than his first.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that kind of again works out. Kassar is still just sitting in front there in the number 24 McLaren 720S GT3. Oh my word, Agius, that could have gone all sorts of wrong. Trust me, those moments that seem so minute from the external camera, but riding on board with Denzel Agius, that would have looked like one of the biggest moments of his life, almost throwing it off the road. And I wonder how many drivers are taking into consideration that it is sitting at 11 degrees track temperature. That is very close to freezing cold. That is not warm at all for a racetrack, and I'm pretty sure I felt 11 degree racetrack after the racing is finished. And trust me, I don't want to think what cars are going to be like on that kind of racetrack.
Slippy would be the way that I'd describe it at the moment, because the track is so green, and we just saw there Agius, it's actually struggling to sort of evolve himself to these track conditions at the moment, because it's like he's allowing the car almost to drift around these corners, and that is costing him time hand over fist against Kassar. Remember, at one point Just looking like he had the one up on the man, looking to not finish in P3. But you did say about that track, the current situation in terms of his the motion at the moment of a P3, P2, P3, P2. If I'm right in saying what you said earlier on, he's due for a P2, and he's bang on at the moment. And with the way Agius is driving in these steadily cooling conditions here, it looks like that is going to continue.
I was a little bit worried when he qualified P4, but alas, we've got to this situation, or should I say, or the possibility, should I say, of Sean Cassar continuing his P2, P3, P2, P3, P2, P3 run. Yeah, he just needs to finish P2. Adrian Manduka come back to finish within the top 2, and he'd just finish on the podium. He will have a 100% podium record. That is something that neither of the top 2 championship contenders currently have.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, isn't it, when you look at it from that sort of stats perspective here. And, me and you are pretty much stats nerds. We love these kind of things. But, that is a fascinating thing to keep an eye out on. I'm keeping an eye out on Cassar as well in this little strong battle that's brewing here at the moment. Cassar just able to just maintain all kinds of track position here. He's just finding that this car is pretty stable at the moment, whereas Agius is certainly trying to continue with this pressure against the Intercomp McLaren. And this is where the closest battle is happening at the moment, folks, as well as the track is getting very dark out there now. It's now 8:24 in the evening in game time, so certainly going to be getting to closer to 8:45, I think, at the end of this race. I was under the impression it was 2 times. It might be a little bit higher than that, actually, at the moment. But the track conditions steadily getting colder and steadily also getting darker, and that is just going to make for even more of a risky opportunity for overtakes here.
There will definitely be some decent opportunities for these guys, and especially when it's about keeping yourself on the racetrack. Linus Eriksson into the pit lane here, so he has no, unless he just wants to sit there and maybe have a sandwich or something along those lines, or maybe have a cup of tea. He shouldn't be any risk in being overtaken by Johan Borg. So we'll be really intrigued to see how this kind of all kind of works down in towards the right hander. In fact, he has been overtaken by Johan Borg. That's something I didn't expect.
Yeah, I think Johan Borg at the moment is obviously he ended up having his tea break midway through this race. The fact that he's still not in last place is absolutely astonishing, to be honest with you. Ericsson must be having an absolute stinker of a race at the moment. Is the rookie driver himself, obviously indicated by the red box there. Agius getting a little bit closer to Cassar in this battle for P2 as Agius loses the rear, but actually uses it to his advantage going through the inner loop, and is able to keep within close distance to Sean Cassar. Now starting to feel a little bit more confident at the moment is Agius. Maybe that's run of P3, P2 at the moment for Cassar is a little bit more under pressure than we suspect, with 8 minutes to go in this race.
Indeed, 8 minutes left to go, and we're starting to really run down to these last couple of moments. This top 3 battle, I say top 3, Carabot's absolutely romped off into the distance in fine Carabot style. And Agius is just going to be looking at the rear end of that McLaren. We're keeping them tabs here with Ryan Carabot. He's coming up to lap Maya Lafella, and there shouldn't be any inter-team rivalries here because, yes, they're both Project Adversio card, but the blue flag is being waved. That is only advisory, I just want to say. It's not like F1 where you should actually just jump out the way, but it is advisory. What about Maya Lafella? She's going to maybe hold up Carabot just a little bit, just a little bit of a bit of leading time as well. I don't know how much she knows this, but she's also getting a bit of camera time as well. Carabot there going and switching sides as well, and Lafella will just simply just let him straight on through.
Yeah, Project Adversio would have been knocking on Laferla's door there if she ended up making a little bit of a mistake and handing her a pretty solid P45 for that one, because Ryan Carabot very much on his way in just over 5 minutes time to becoming a regional champion in this GT3 ACER GT3 championship. Battle between Sean Cassar, Denzel Agius, how is that looking? Is that brewing any further at the moment? It is brewing. He's still within touching distance here as he's now heading down towards towards turn number 9 at the moment. They're just coming out of the, in fact, pardon me, sorry, that's turn 5. They're heading into turn 6 at the moment. This is where we saw a mistake from Sean Cassar earlier on. Temporarily had the forced pit stop warnings there with the black and orange disc, but in the end, the in-game stewards detecting that his car was fine and he could continue racing here as they come across the rather they call it a checkpoint there, but it is technically a checkpoint, I suppose, the timing line for the third sector as they head now through the next set of corners. I'm wondering if Agius is just going to continue on this pressure and he's going to be on a bit of a last lap dash in the next 5 or so minutes.
So just now, less than 6 minutes ago, and this battle is going to still continue to just rage on. I just want to momentarily go back to Daryl Martinelli and Mark D'Agostino, just see how their battle is going on. Martinelli has kind of romped away, it seems like. So he is on for his best finish of his ACER Malta GT3 Championship career. A very, very positive result, but he still needs to try and get it home with 5.5 minutes left to go, getting very close up to that safer barrier on the outside of that final corner. Martinelli in that Ferrari, I think he's just slowly growing confidence. He's had a bit of a difficult run. He's definitely improved since last season, and has just slowly got progress. But this is going to show some massive signs of progression. It seems he's just got that little bit of an edge about him, and you know, it may have been a little bit helped with Adrian Manduca's mistake in the early stages, but I think that we can really sense here that Martinelli is just going to get a bit of a springboard of confidence because of this.
Yeah, situation report. Mohamed D'Agostino, actually his closest battle is, would you believe, the man in P6. It's Dominic Zimmerman. He is getting closer to racing with someone, Adam. Can you believe it? He is still a few corners away at the moment, is Dominic Zimmerman, but he might actually no longer be in a no man's land scenario. Is he potentially closing down on a potential opportunity, the German, against D'Agostino? Is he looking for a P5 maybe? We'll have to see. Keep an eye on that one over the next 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Situation report, Cassar Agius, where are we at the moment, folks? Still very, very close racing here between. In fact, I think this is the closest Agius has been in a very long time. Is he looking for it potentially in the 90? Is he looking for it potentially in the S's? If he keeps this as clean as he's looking at the moment, I think we may be looking for an overtake in the S's, you know.
Yeah, very much so. Still 4 minutes left to go of this one, and we're now starting to see a move potentially there by Denzel Agius. He's trying to put himself right in the rear view mirror, right in the wing mirrors of Sean Cassar, but Sean Cassar does not want to be budging anytime soon. He needs to be making some of these moves to really off-put Sean Cassar. I wonder if a little bit of a flash from the headlights could do the job here for the Project Versio car, the one that has of course been used to his Lexus in the Asphalt King series. But yeah, we'll have to see how this all kind of works through. He's trying to get through the motions, but I think a bit of a mistake in that chicane may have cost him a tenth or two.
You know what, actually, what ended up being a really good exit out of turn 11 actually ended up hindering him going into the 90, because of course he was trying to go not necessarily side by side but try and catch Cassar off guard, but in diving to the inside line he actually cut off his angle at the 90 and ended up losing a bucket of time going through the S's. So actually, in getting as close as he did going into the 90, Agius actually forfeited an opportunity for an overtake through the S's and onto the back straight. So he'll continue to look for it again. He's still got a couple of laps of opportunities here, but he's got to be very wary about where his car is planted in respect of Sean Cassar, because if he's too close to the 90 again, he's going to force himself to the inside to avoid some kind of collision, and he's going to end up in a similar situation where he ends up losing that time and he can't gain it back through the S's in the back straight.
Will be one of those where you're going to have to really play this game of super fast chess as efficiently as you possibly can. Again, Agius is still looking all over the rear of Sean Cassar. It will be really interesting to see who is kind of faster out of the two drivers. Again, Agius there, 44.6 over the line. He's really pushing on for P2. This will be his first podium and his second P2 at the season. Sorry, his second podium and his second P2 of the season since Ricardo Tormo, when there's been a big struggle there from Ryan Carabot. But it seems to be on the flip side, where now it's been a big struggle for Adrian Manduka, who quit after just 15 minutes after a jump start in this one, and he's now starting to rocket his way to the end. 2 laps to go on this one, and Adjus has got to make his move soon.
Yeah, the problem is Kassar has been absolutely fabulous in just keeping the car clean and not making any mistakes. He's putting his car well planted across this here, not offering Adjus any kind of opportunity in the middle part of this track. We will have another lap at the end of this race. They came across the line, Adjus and Kassar, with 1:55 to go, with Ryan Carabot significantly up the road. They will definitely be another one. Oh, that's a mistake from Adjus on that one as well, losing the rear ever so slightly. Very well held. You can easily get a tank slapper around there, but once again, because of how quick he was at the corner, I think he's getting caught out by how slow Kassar is. Perhaps his tyres really starting to fall off here. Now Adjus has got one hell of a road to climb here to try and get as close as he can to Kassar to put any kind of threat on the final lap.
Yeah, indeed. This will be huge to try and just apply that pressure just that little bit more. Again, where are you going to try, Mr. Adjus? He's a little bit too far back, in all honesty. So I think that Kassar may be feeling and just sitting a little bit more comfortably compared to as I say, compared to what he's got at the minute. On towards the final lap of this race, the clock will tick down, the checker flag will fly within the next 10 seconds. And Ryan Carabot will come home and will put the crown on his head. There he is, coming through this middle sector. He'll be coming down into towards the chute and through turn number 6. It has been an absolutely fantastic, phenomenal race for the number 13 Ford Mustang GT3 Evo. The clock has ticked down to 0, and Carabot is looking for his 5th win of the season, and this could be one of the best in his 5 wins that he's had so far this season. And this will take him to 190 points. He rounds the last couple of corners. Kassar and Denzel Adjus is still working away. Again, Adjus seemingly to try and find any form of gap he's got possibly. And then in towards these next corners. This is going to be a real hunting mode for Adjus. But Ryan Carabot will be really getting the excitement going here. The Ford Mustang will be setting his sights on that finishing line. A new champion is crowned at the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. Ryan Carabot is your new GT3 champion. 5 of the best. He equals the record for the most wins in a season. Sheldon Muscat got 5 at this stage. Can he do the same?
Absolutely fabulous. A new regional champion in Ryan Carabot. Here he comes across the line. Sean Kassar continues his P3, P2 run in the end, and Adjus will dive down the inside in the end, but it's his too little too late for the man who finishes in P3. Well done, Daryl Martinelli, as well. It's his best performance of the season. He comes across the line in the darkness to finish in a very respectable P4. D'Agostino, the Pro-Am driver, is just coming across now. As you can see, Zimmerman was actually getting relatively close, actually, but in the end, the no man's land driver himself continues in his form, finishing in P6 behind the Pro-Am driver in the other McLaren. P5 for him. Quattramani finishing a very good P7 as well. Nick Ice, great performance from him as well in P8 for the other Ford Mustang. He's now just coming across here as we've now got all the fireworks now coming out here. A very well-timed affair for our new regional champion, Ryan Carabot.
Yeah, fantastic from him. He's going to be absolutely over the moon, and you can already see from the fireworks, from everything that he has managed to show off here with his little donuts down into turn number 1. I'm sure he's absolutely delighted. He's known the situation going into this race, and there is James Smith coming home in P9, but that now hands over the crown. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Sheldon Muscat wanted to defend his crown, so it was open gates from the moment we said go back at Zandvoort. But it has been a superb season and almost a commanding season. It seems 5 wins, a further 6 podium only once off that podium, and we now round off this one. What a fantastic race we've had here at Watkins Glen. A lot of tight margins here, but that was our result. Karabot from Kassar, from Agis, and Kassar continues his form.
Well,
How about that?
That's absolutely fabulous. But for me, Ryan Karabot, 22 seconds in front of the leading pack for P2. Absolutely fabulous. And that is just a pure testament to the man that we have seen this season. He's champion. There's no other way of noting it now. We go into the circuit to the Americas next week, knowing who our champion is. But the question on everyone's lips more than anything after the back of that one is, what's next? Because is Ryan Karabot going to be able to continue this form? Is, the Velocity Esports brand going to see someone really taking a firm hold now on this GT3, on these GT3 cars, and any other subsequent championships that come? Ryan Karabot has been absolutely fabulous from start to finish in this championship. He's well deserved of his title. But what happened to Manduka? That drive-through penalty, and his race was done.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of talk about that a little bit. I think that he knew the severity of the start. He knew how important it was, and he just had to try and get that minimal advantage. You're inch perfect, you're millisecond perfect when it comes to motorsport, and he got it on the wrong millisecond. That's what it seemingly kind of said. It must have been so frustrating because he was keeping pace with Ryan Karabot. You saw that going into that final sector of the circuit, he was right with the Ford Mustang. So without that jump start, you kind of think to yourself, because this has been a story that went on all race long, and if that drive-through penalty wasn't given, and he was still able to get that good of a start, could we have seen a different winner tonight?
The mecca of North American road racing, I believe, the Glen goes by at times. And the fact is that you've seen one hell of a performance from someone who is just able to manage his own race pace and is able to control and create, history at a circuit with such a high level of history. But equally, it's just a track that you can lose a lot on. And, we've seen people lose their lives at the circuit. We've seen people lose championships at this circuit. We've seen so many, unfortunate scenarios occur. On this occasion, Manduka's just got to blame himself. It's such a rookie mistake from someone looking to try and win a title. He jump-started, he got penalised for it. He chose to not continue in this race either, which I think is just bitterly disappointing, just purely from a sportsmanship perspective, if I have to be perfectly honest with you, though I can understand he's definitely frustrated.
Yeah, I definitely think the frustration is going to be definitely evident. The only thing you can really do is just kind of come back to the coaster and win it. Really stamp an authority on next season and say, you know what, Ryan, whilst you are the champion, I'm going to try and start next season with a bit of a claim that I'm the most recent winner. That's really all he can do. But if Ryan Karabot goes on and wins that'll I think that will really send Manduka into, I'll be honest, a little bit of assault. You'll have to really kind of come out swinging in season 3 of the ACER Malta GT3 Championship if we do get a further rendition.
Yeah, that's what it's all going to be about, isn't it? And obviously, next week is our sort of roundup as well of these championships, because of course we take a trip over to the Circuit of the Americas next week on December 4th to round off this championship. We've already got our winner, but nonetheless, the Circuit of the Americas should always bring some fascinating racing, especially considering there's nothing to lose now. Everyone might just go out there and have a little bit of fun. And in between all of that, we've also got our season finale as well on December 1st for V1 Malta on F1 as well. So a real nice roundup next season in early December.
Yeah, indeed. December is going to be a really, really nice month to kind of wrap up 2025, not just for the ACER Malta GT3 Championship, not just for the V1 Malta, but Velocity Esports Racing as a whole. We know we've had a really successful year. We've had some really great racing and some brilliant champions to go along the way. But of course, one of them still needs to be crowned in the V1 Malta series, and I think that's going to be one to really look out for.
Yeah, and of course we've also got the situation as well of the Ultimate Masters tournament coming up as well. I think we've got qualify for that one in December as well. So plenty of events happening over on Velocity Esports. So if you aren't subscribed, give us a follow, give us a subscription, ring the bell, do what you need to do, and we'll all be here, and surely you will too.
Yeah, absolutely. This has all been thanks to a collaboration with Hyundai, Intercomp, Monsters Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and the Specialist. We will see you over the course of the next week for both broadcasts of the V1 Malta Series and the ACER Malta GT3 Championship in Abu Dhabi and Kosa, respectively. But from myself, Adam Reed, and James Osler alongside me, we'll see you in a couple of days' time. Take care. Good night.
Thank you.